So the next conversation we're going to have will be on counties, and I'd like to invite our panelists. We have Austin Dege, Trade Director, Busia County. Then we have James Lokwale, who's also a Trade Director from Turkana County. We have Winfred Musyoka from Makueni County, and Gilbert Murunga from Trans Nzoia County. So through our work, we've come to realize that not only are banks providing financial services to women, but counties are also doing the same. So counties have been able to do this by allocating part of their budget in different funds, and these have been run in different ways. So I'll give an opportunity for each panelist to just tell us briefly how they are running their county funds. Thereafter, I'm going to just display some data that we got from these counties. So I'll start with you, Winfred. You can tell us what Makueni Empowerment Fund is doing and how you're running the program.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Winfred Musyoka. I work as a credit officer serving the Makueni County government under the Makueni County Empowerment Fund, which is domiciled in the Department of Gender, Children, Youth, Sports and Social Services. Okay, this fund is popularly known as the Tetheka Fund. Tetheka is a Kamba word meaning Saidika. So basically this fund targets the marginalized and vulnerable residents of Makueni County, and we are key to empower the women, youth, persons living with disability, and table banking groups. So basically this fund has gained its mandate to operate, or rather it's regulated by the PFM Act, and it has regulations that govern it to operate. And basically we have two forms of products. We have the group loans that we give to the table banking groups, and we have individual products that we give to individuals in our county. And basically we are saying that we are targeting the marginalized and vulnerable in our county, but they still need to have the ability to repay these loans. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Winfred.
Good afternoon. My name is James Lokwale, the County Director of Trade from Turkana. I'm a career banker, been in that space for close to 12 years before I joined the county government about 10 years ago. Ours is a difficult task of helping politicians fulfill their campaign promises in this space. And so just like our colleague in the banking profession, ours is to augment what the mainstream financial institutions advance in credit. In Turkana, we have 3 funds. Like Makueni, we have funds for individual traders. We call it Biashara Fund. The second one is the one that is targeting youths and women in groups. And then the last one is on cooperatives. So overall, in the last 3 to 4 years, we have a kitty running into 500 million, advancing credit to almost 4,800 individual and groups at very cheaper rates, 3% per annum, repayable within 24 months. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Dege Austin, the County Director for Trade and Markets in Busia County. I'll highlight a little bit on the funds that we run in Busia County. We have 3 funds, but I'll concentrate on 2, which are domiciled in the Department of Trade, Investment, Industry and Cooperatives, and SMEs. So one, we have a fund called Trade Revolving Fund, which was enacted in 2016 by the County Assembly of Busia. And the main objective of this fund was to support women, youths, and vulnerable people in the community. As my brother from Turkana, whom we share a lot in terms of cross-border trade, has said, some of these funds, we work under political environment. Having came from a political environment and going to another political environment, sometimes a challenge. But this fund is here to support these vulnerable people in the community, especially women. From the data I shared with MicroSave Consulting on the Trade Revolving Fund, a higher number of beneficiaries were women. That means that women are really involved in trade matters in Busia. Challenges are there, but we are working to reduce that gap. We also have Cooperative Enterprise Fund, which is domiciled in our department, that deals with cooperatives. In Busia County, we have 14 cooperatives which are women-based. 14 cooperatives which are women-based. And one of the cooperatives that I have to mention is Cross-Border Women Traders. One of the cooperatives within Busia that deals with goods and services across the countries. Turkana County plays a very important role, a very key role in building economy of Busia County. As you all know, fish industry in Turkana County is a good business, but this fish passes through the Busia County. So Busia County and Turkana County has something in common. And we are looking forward to work together to reduce that gap by creating an enabling environment for our women doing business. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm Gilbert Murunga from the County Government of Trans Nzoia. Standing in as the fund manager to a fund that is run by the county. The fund is called Trans Nzoia Nawiri Fund. It's a fund that is meant to propel or to provide affordable business credit to all entrepreneurs that are located within Trans Nzoia County. And the salient feature that is common among all the funds is that majorly they are formed to propel the political aspects of whoever is at the top. But majorly the fund was started way back in 2015. However, it kicked up, or it was revamped 2 years ago to what it is right now as it is. The fund is of course guided by the provisions of the PFM Act 2012, as well as the Trans Nzoia Nawiri Fund Act that was enacted way back in 2015. And a similar feature between our fund and the one that is at Turkana County is ours we charge a very little interest rate of 3% per annum, and that is what I think is the common feature among this. So I think more will come in the discussion that you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's interesting to note that women not only have the option of going to financial service providers, but at the county level, they can be able to get some capital to support their businesses. So next, I just want to share some data from the counties that we have visited. So we'll start with looking at data from Trans Nzoia County. Just as Gilbert has mentioned, you see that women are the biggest beneficiaries of Nawiri Fund. So what we realized was really interesting about Trans Nzoia is that giving group loans to different groups of people from PWDs, women, youth, and the elderly. And we see a great participation of women, both even in the ticket sizes that they are applying. We see women have the highest percentage of 210. So later on, we'll have a conversation with Gilbert on what these funds are for. Next, we'll have just a look at Uasin Gishu. Mr. Tanui was not able to be with us here today, but just looking at these data too, we see that women are the biggest beneficiaries in terms of occupation. The mama mboga, I don't know if there's baba mboga, but we also have the men who are participating in selling of groceries, who are the biggest beneficiaries of the Inua Biashara Fund. So this data was collected between 2020 and 2024. But just when you look at the bottom of the graph, I would like to note that men are borrowing twice as much as women under the Inua Biashara in Uasin Gishu County. So that's an interesting conversation to have. Is it that the types of businesses that the women are participating in are not allowing them to borrow a lot of money, or what is the barrier of them borrowing very small ticket sizes from that fund? Next, we'll also have a look at Busia County. Just as Austin has mentioned, women are the biggest beneficiaries of the fund, from the trade revolving fund, and women are also participating a lot in the groceries department, as opposed to these other departments. So also, we'd like to have a conversation of, what informs the choice of trade that a woman gets into. Of course, there are trades like, let's say, the mama mboga, the barriers of entry might be a little low, and that must be one of the incentives for them starting out in selling vegetables, as opposed to taking other, participating in other sectors, which might be more capital intensive. So just based on this data, maybe I'd like to start with you, Gilbert. How have you managed in Trans Nzoia County to allocate these funds to these women? And also, while you're doing the same, what are those funds for?
Thank you, Priscilla. Once more, good afternoon. I think from Trans Nzoia and majorly the fund, Trans Nzoia Nawiri Fund, we operate under two models. Model number one, and which propelled us to where we are operating a model called tender financing, whereby instead of loaning money meant to just loan, we loan money to finance perhaps tenders and contracts with which we've enabled the respective formal women groups to apply, secure, and then we finance them to undertake the loans. Because we know under government or any procurement opportunities that is available, majorly around 30% minimum to close to 40% is always guaranteed to be a profit. So we undertake to finance a tender to a tune of perhaps 40% minimum to 60% minimum. So when a respective group has already obtained the tender, we do finance them to a tune of 40% to 60%, because we know it's a guarantee that, number one, they'll be able to undertake the tender to completion and they'll be paid in time. And thereafter, we recover our money. So we know it's not going to be a default, because it's a mechanism is already in place to ensure that immediately they are paid, we remit our money back, and they are left with the other amount that is on top of it as a profit once we deduct our interest rate, of course. Before we came up with the model, we did a survey around the county, countywide, and we established that the business model that is salient among the residents of Trans Nzoia majorly is small-scale businesses that are always, they are common. You find if it's poultry farming always close around, but in small scales, there's lack of diversification. And so what we did, we came up with this product to ensure that insofar as the salient thing that is happening in Trans Nzoia is agriculture-based, mainly agriculture, plant-based, we came up with this product so that it's a diversification to ensure that continuity in the businesses of women, so that someone does not only rely on the mama mboga business that they are doing. People can propel, people can grow henceforth. So that is why we came up with the product.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. Just from the conversation with Gilbert, Trans Nzoia has managed to be able to reduce leakages of that fund. So all the funds that the various counties are talking about, these are revolving funds. So hence we need reinvestment in the fund for to have funds for the next cycle. So through financing through tenders, the county is able to recover. But I'd like to hear from the other counties how the revolving fund is operating. How have you managed to just incentivize the borrowers to repay? And since they're not participating in the county tenders, how do you make sure that the repayments are happening?
Thank you. The Makueni County Empowerment Fund was established in the year 2016. And then 8 years down the line, that is in the year 2020, we had to stop lending. Why? Because the portfolio at risk had gone high. And this is because we had challenges of repayment of these loans. And one of the major challenges was the political challenge, as stated by my colleagues. You realize that most county residents will imagine that a county is issuing grants. The other challenge that made us halt the disbursement of the funds is, people borrowing funds and they do not know the reason, the purposes. They do not have a purpose for why they are borrowing these funds. Why? There is no training, there is no mentorship. A point that has been brought up by all the panelists who've been here. So we had also to stop lending because there was a lot of diversion of these funds. And again, to cover for these challenges, as a county, we've had to restructure and re-engineer this fund so that we are able to put up measures to ensure that this fund is operating well. And that is why we had to go and partner with other stakeholders, like-minded stakeholders, like Safaricom. So currently we are digitizing the Makueni County Empowerment Fund together with Safaricom. We have co-created a digital lending platform where we are saying that our beneficiaries, the groups, the individuals, will now go to an online platform and apply for their loans. This means that we are reducing the turnaround time for our borrowers. This also means that we are soundproofing, or rather we are securing our funds, because we ensure that it's only accessible to Makueni County residents. And of course, there are other restructuring procedures, like ensuring that even before these beneficiaries can come and borrow, they are trained and mentored well before they can access these funds. So basically, we've had like 4,000 beneficiaries, like 2,000 from the groups and 2,000 individuals, borrowing to a tune of 278 million, but we're still having arrears of a tune of around 58 million. So far. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Maybe just to add on to what my colleagues are saying on the strategies to enhance the sustainability of the funds and the repayment levels. One, in Turkana, we have a board. All our three funds have boards constituted, comprising of representations from across section of youth, women, the private sector individuals, and county government officials. So we have also a secretariat, which is the domicile in my office. In the board, we have a fund administrator who supports in the accounting processes, as I sit there as the secretary of the board. Secondly, we have procured a loan management system akin to what the banks are operating, which helps us to track the loans and manage the repayment. Of the three funds, women-led group businesses have the highest repayment rates as opposed to youth-led and the ones operated by the individual traders. It's not doing very well. So we get a lot of our repayments from most of the groups which we lend to women. And then secondly, we're also exploring the possibility of working with the mainstream banks to see whether, because of the experience and the capacity in that sector, to outsource management of these loans. So we're in discussion with one of the banks, the leading banks in Kenya, to support us in that role. Lastly, we also have a pay bill, an online platform that allows all the loanees to pay the loans. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. As for Busia County, we have the Trade Revolving Fund, of which I'm the fund administrator. It's more or less the same as the Turkana County because we also have a board that helps us to run the fund. And it has all representation across the board. The fund, I said it was enacted in 2016. But it was first in 2021, it's when we got the funds from the county assembly after budget allocation. Because as you all know, for any funding of a county government, there must be budget procedures. So in 2021, the county assembly of Busia was able to allocate 5 million as a start. But during that time, as my colleagues have said, some of these funds are political in nature. Because a politician stands up and says, hii ni pesa yenyu, mwende mchukue. So those are some of the utterances that are being made by a politician. That is a fact. We cannot run away from it. Because if Gen Zs, for example, my brother here, akisikia pesa yuko mahali mwende mchukue, he'll run away, he'll run and go and pick that money. So we have come up with structures to ensure that the loan repayment and recovery is done in a way that the fund is sustainable, being a revolving fund. Because a revolving fund is supposed to stand on itself after 3 years so that other people can benefit from it. With the low interest rates of 5% per annum, it is something that is achievable. So we are working closely with a financial institution, especially in Busia County, with Equity Bank for financial literacy. So that as people take these loans, as traders take these loans, they have those skills on how to manage their businesses and also to handle the issue of diversion of funds. As the data that has been shared here by Priscilla, we have different kinds of businesses that are run across the county. But when we are doing the assessment, someone will show you is doing cereal. But at later stage, you learn that someone has diverted this fund to something else, which is also a factor that affects the loan repayment. So as county government of Busia, we work closely with banks to assist us on coming up with the best models on loan recovery. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Austin. Just from this conversation, you realize that supporting small-scale traders, supporting women as MSMEs cannot be a job of one particular institution or one sector. Banks themselves cannot be able to solve the problem. So we are coming together, different partners, to be able to see what can everybody do to be able to support women entrepreneurs. So in my final question, in just talking about partnerships, for these various counties, what do you think, what partnerships would you require to support the different funds that you're operating to be able to run better, to be able to be more efficient?
Thank you. One, due to budgetary allocations, counties are not able to meet the demand of the MSMEs. So we are looking into partnering with like-minded partners who can offer more donor funds so that the revolving fund kitty can grow. There's a big gap in the training and mentorship programs because you realize that what basically affects the MSMEs is the mind set that needs to be changed. Somebody here was emphasizing on mentorship. Mentorship is very key. So we are looking into partnering with individuals who can offer mentorship to our beneficiaries before and even after they get these loans, and also offer them skills on BDS, that is business development skills and such. We also have policies that are leaning towards empowering women and MSMEs in the county, and we have a very unique policy that we are developing with a certain partner called Village Enterprise that is geared towards ending extreme poverty. This policy is on ultra poor graduation, and we are looking into partnering with individuals to implement this policy because we believe that it can be key in empowering our women and generally the MSMEs in our county. Also on the aspect of policy direction and regulation, we would also wish to have partners who are well versed with that, who can inform or rather empower our MSMEs on the regulatory measures and frameworks that are required to really make this sector thrive. So yeah, thank you.
Maybe for me, I want to emphasize a bit on the partnership, collaboration, especially with the mainstream banks, the financial institutions, because of the huge demand of these loans across counties. Sometimes it's very difficult to do what we need to do as counties ourselves. And so I would call the financial institutions in Kenya to take advantage of this opportunity to work out with banks, not only on the administration of the credit schemes, also consider co-funding. This is something we are in discussions with, as I said, with one of the banks. We have also had a successful collaboration with the Northern Kenya Impact Fund. If you heard about it, it's a USA fund, run fund which supported our Youth and Women Empowerment Fund in terms of capacity building of our board members. So they trained them on credit management, on how to support the secretariat. And lastly, as my colleagues have said, sometimes it's very difficult to undertake the process of collection of these repayments, and when they fall due, like they do in many counties, it becomes very difficult for counties to sort it out. And so we have debt collection agencies, debt recovery support institutions, which also can come in and support counties at that level of recovery of these loans. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The demand for this fund is very high, and we call upon the financial institutions, especially banks that are within the counties, to help us in financial literacy and skills to improve on our traders. Because most of these traders, they are from rural setup. So there are so many challenges. So with the help of financial institution, they can able to reduce that gap. Another partnership that we call upon is technology and innovation. As you all know, we are moving into, technology is moving very fast. And if you are left behind, you may end up not doing business right way. As one of the panelists has said, when it comes to Mama Mboga, they always prefer that small phone, kabambe. So it is also good to encourage them to go on the digital platform, even selling their products on TikTok, on WhatsApp status, so that they can reach higher number of consumers. Then another issue also, infrastructure. Some of these things, if you don't create an enabling environment in this sector, we may end up not getting the end product. As I've said before, we have partnered with Trademark Africa, and we call upon that as we continue engaging, we do more infrastructure development with the help of the county government, putting in mind that the budget constraints that are there, we cannot reach out to so many development infrastructure in our counties. So we call upon any partner that is ready to do even a market that can be a model in some of these counties to help our traders have that conducive environment. We're also partnering, we have a partner by the name Collaborative Center for Gender Development, who are coming up with a childcare unit in Busia County. As you all know, most of the women traders face a lot of challenge when it comes to caregiver services. You have a child, you need to do some business, which is such a challenge. So we encourage that we come up with childcare units in our markets to help women minimize on time lost when doing business. Thank you.
Okay, from Trans Nzoia and what is emanating from fellow counties, the aspect of funding, increasing of finance to the kitties is what is majorly coming out. Because like in our case, we are intending to build the kitty to a tune of $500 million. Then to enable it to be a properly revolving fund. So we are out seeking for partners to enable us at least reach the tune or the goal that you are deserving. We're requiring to achieve. As of now, we are partnering up with Equity Bank, whereby we are doing a matching. So if we loan out a group, for example, 200,000, the next time they borrow, we graduate them up. And if they require funds that are way beyond what we can offer, we refer them to the bank silently, quietly, and at least they can be given rates that are a bit understandable to them. Then number two, majorly, we also need partners, especially in terms of technology. Because if we are to compete with the larger lenders, we'd also need to have a footprint, at least in the digital space, so that we know at the comfort of someone's home, they don't need to come to the office to inquire these services. They just get it online. I think that is what we require for now.
Thank you so much for those insightful recommendations. The partners are in the room, and I hope even during lunch hour we'll continue to network and seek how you can be able to collaborate and support the funds that are being operated at county level. So at this point, I'll invite us for a session of Q&A in case there are any questions within the room that you'd like to ask.
Thank you. Before I ask my question, I would like to make a comment. What is common with all counties is the dates, or the time that these fundings started, dating back to 2015, pointing to it not being rooted in some good policy. Because whenever a new governor is elected, he comes up with an entirely new way of handling it. I think it is high time we have policies that stretch across all counties so that we're able to govern these funds. Somebody said we needed to have an umbrella body. I think we need to have a regulatory body that govern counties lending money to its citizens. Because you're already in the business. Like banks, they have a regulatory body. You see, all of you, the objective is one, to support women and youth in business. I think I can come to the question. How do you guys navigate the political space and ensure that these funds actually benefit qualified people? Because I know for sure an MCA will go to his ward and even form a group that was non-existing. Just help them to register, go get that fund, get the loan, and even goes ahead to tell them what you said. Hii ni pesa yenyu. If you choose to repay, you can repay. If you choose to not repay, it's on you. That is why I insist on us having that regulated. I would suggest how counties could actually partner with banks. The banks are already offering these facilities. And more often than not, people will go to the banks because at least there you don't need to know anyone. If you qualified, you can get the money. What if the counties would now come in terms of being security guarantors, so that you enter into MOUs with the banks in that when I win this tender, if I go to the bank, I'm able to get a facility that will support me to do that business. That will reach an extensive number of people. Why I say that is because most banks shy from funding LPOs and LSOs from counties. They do, because they are not sure when their money will come. So I think that should be the partnership that should be advanced, in the sense that when we go to these banks, we are able to get the facilities that we need, because counties will not have the facilities that can benefit the county extensively. Thank you.
Thank you. My quick question is on CES. If someone could comment on that model, because it's proving to be a barrier to trade between counties.
Mine is a solution to the counties. You have a fund, isn't you? You're going to say 1 billion. Place it in the bank. List your business people within Busia. Tell us these are the guys doing serious businesses. Then it saves you on credit appraisal, because we are experts. We have units that are doing that. And then it also reduces the interest rates. So if you place, for example, your funds at 0%, umeweka tu hapo, mnataka tu ikae hapo, ikuwe ni for the women, for the bank to onward lend to the other people, it probably means they'll borrow at 3 to 5%, very little. Or sometimes it will just be admin charges. So it depends on how we enter that kind of deal. So what does it do for you? It removes the headache of, unajua ile pesa mko nayo ni yetu, you know that mentality. Hii ni pesa yetu, atulipi. But when they're dealing with a bank, it's a different thing. And we have those kind of things. We support funds, we support SACCOs, we support chamas for onward lending to their members. So karibuni sana. We are in that space, and we can also guide you. And we have experts who deal with those public sector funds. Asante.
I think I'll go faster. Number one, on the aspect of how we manage the political aspect, I think it goes in line with what Madam from Family Bank has said. With the case of Trans Nzoia County, our fund is being managed at Equity Bank. So insofar as it's a county fund, the salient message that you're sending out is that insofar as it's the public fund, but it's still being managed under the bank. So before someone is extended, a loan is extended to someone, they have to undergo through the whole process of vetting and verification before we now recommend them to get loan. And remember, we said that in Trans Nzoia, the model that we're operating from is the one that we call tender financing model, whereby a respective group has gotten a tender, we now refer them to the bank for financing. So that one eliminates the aspect of the political aspect at one point, as well as the aspect of defaulting. So we have an MOU between us and Equity Bank Kitale in operating that. Again, the issue of banks being reluctant to finance LSOs and LPOs from the county, it really boils down to the top management of the county in the case of pending bills, resolution of pending bills. And from where I sit, from Trans Nzoia County, our CEO, who is the governor, is very categorical on the issues of pending bills. He needs not to hear any case of pending bills. So the moment an item is delivered or a service is offered, the process of payment is expedited on a fast basis. So that is why we as Nawiri Fund are able to now operate smoothly and seemingly. Thank you.
Yeah, Priscilla, maybe just to answer the concern about whether we have a regulation guiding disbursement of county funds. We have. That's why it took us 2 to 3 years to put together across all these counties legislation. Ours is Biashara Fund Act. I know there is, you know. Yes, so all counties have guiding legislation. And these funds will not be disbursed by the control of budget without that. So I can guarantee you. So there is a legal framework Navigating politics, you think it's easy? That's why I began by saying we have the difficult task of helping the politicians fulfill their campaign promises in this area. But the legislation helps us. It provides a framework on the eligibility criteria, the conditions of payment, so they have some small window. Just like any other person, even in the banks, of course, you would have a friend who would put through a request. Well, politicians occasionally do that. But I think overall, we are in Kenya, and no politician will let go of an initiative that gives them bonga points.
Maybe to add on the question of regulations. In Kenya, of course, any financial law is always governed by the PFM Act 2012 and the subsequent regulation. Also, oversight in the counties is done by the county assembly. So any issue regarding oversight is always done at the county assembly or until it's escalated to the Senate. So with regards to regulation, I think it's always codified. In fact, if you hear the Biashara Fund, maybe Trade Policy Fund, they all get their powers and mandates from the PFM Act. So that is how we are regulated at the counties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As my two colleagues have said, sometimes navigating between professionalism and politics is very tricky. But we try a level best to be professional, but at the same time, as we work in a political environment, to see how best we can help our people. On the issue of the fund, trade fund in Busia, we have that act that regulates the operation of the fund. With the help of the board, which is in place, the fund, as I alluded earlier, it was funded in 2021. But because of the challenges that have been mentioned here before, we are working around to turn the tables. Having came in 6 months ago, we are working closely with the financial institution to see how best we can turn this fund to benefit the intended purpose. So, as my brother has said, the policies are there. Even though there are gaps, we are working to make sure that those gaps are reduced to reach out to the bigger population and also to balance professionalism and politics. Then there's an issue that Madam Gloria raised on the CES. When it comes to CES is part of the revenue streams in most of the counties. And as we discuss the issue of revenue, they say, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee. So as a matter of fact, at least for us to make sure that these counties, they can stand on their own, they need to have some charges on these commodities as they move various the various points in moving the products. So I believe every county has their own some charges on the sales. Thank you.
I can make an attempt because it's something that has come up in various forums as barriers to trade. I know in Turkana we have a North Thrift economic block. It's one of the things we are working to harmonize. We have 8 counties. There is legislation, I'm aware, in the Senate or the National Assembly towards this. So counties, I think in the near future, we will be required to just collect fees, cess from the point of origin. Like, for example, in Turkana, we can agree with Busia. All the counties, West Pokot, Trans Nzoia, was in Gishu, where the fish is passing through. Turkana collects or Busia. But there is something that's being worked in the economic blocks.
Thank you so much. I'll give an opportunity to Charity and any other question on last round.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon. It's quite a good engagement. And just to appreciate our friends in the counties. This is when it's hitting me. There's need to balance politics and professionalism. It's such a balance. Yeah, but now this is as a woman, not Equity or anyone else, so don't quote me. I just want us to think as women, because I can see we've had professionals, all that business people who are on it, so today I can pretend to be that Mama Mboga. Now, if a business person, a businesswoman comes for finances or goes for a financing in the bank, then she finances you and it is delayed in payments, she suffers stress. True or false? True. And as a bank manager or officer, you are afraid of financing this person because you don't know what will happen. For sure, she will supply, there is profit, there is everything. But you are afraid. In case of a delay, how will I go to collect from this lady? Who is the age of my mother? Who is the age of my sister? How will she feel when I'm pushing her to pay, yet I know very well there is a pending bill? So that has always been at the back of my mind, and I'm like, how can counties help the women? By then inakuanga story ngumu sana. Because for sure she's seeing business and sometimes inakuwa hard. But if there's a way you can allow women to finance, to supply, like 25%, you pay them like tomorrow, then she brings another 25%, you pay. We go in steps. She'll complete financing, you'll not be stressed, neither will the bank be stressed, but she'll have delivered and she'll feel you. So as the heads of funds, I can see chief of staff, we have honorable people here. Please see how best you can assist, not only the women, but even the youth. Sometimes they have little money, but they need so much, but we know they will still get there with the support of the banks, obviously. Yeah. But also to appreciate now as the bank, just to appreciate the ones who are already working with us, and we urge you to continue working with us, but also see how best you can work with the youths and also the women who have no businesses, at least to start up. From your end, you are not really so much regulated, you can help them to start up. And then the banks can pick up from there, because now we are regulated, you have to finance somebody who is already in business. And yes, we do startups, but it is just a percentage. If it is a group, it has to be 20% of the whole group. Maybe if there are 40, 20%, only 8 can be startups. You see, those are very few. But from your end, you can even decide to help the youth to start businesses, and we'll pick them along the way. We are ready to do financial education and the likes. Then maybe for the youth, you can assist also in giving some waivers. Which are these businesses that youths can do without licenses? For example, like photography, I'm told like in one of these counties, they are not pushed to get licenses to take the photos and run around taking everyone photos. At least they are doing something. What are you doing in your specific counties where youths are not paying any bill? And what are these initiatives that we can come through for you? I know of others who are doing incubators for a family that has 1 chicken. You can imagine just 1 chicken, hata jogoni ya jirani. But then the incubators, alafu you hatch the chicken, the chicks, then within no time, from just 1 hen, at the end of the year, you can have like even 20 of them. Na ni za kienyeji, they just eat from, the surrounding. They don't need a lot of feed and the costs in it. So how are you supporting these women to just come up in a small way, in a big way? We really appreciate. But personally, I appreciate the support you're giving us and the support you're giving the women and the youth. Tuko pamoja kwa hii serikali, Kenya ni yetu, tutasonga mbele. Si ndio? Tusaidie wa Kenya tu tusonge mbele. Thank you.
Thanks, Charity. I think Charity will be a politician in her next life. Yeah, but we'll have one last question.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for the wonderful engagements that we're having. Mine is a concern or rather a point to note around the lending space where we are asking for partnerships as far as debt recovery is concerned, as far as the financial kitty or the basket is increased. But then I would want to understand, or it's keen to note, or I would want to know what is happening at a lending level, even before we get to disburse that amount of money. How are we controlling the default rate? What are we doing, or what are the data points that we are looking at that we can use to see that even as we increase that basket, even as we increase those funds, then we have a control around the default rate? Because, and I want to refer to maybe the case in Makueni County where we have 58 million in arrears. Yes, we are going to digitization, and of course, we may not have a full control about how we are going to onboard those borrowers. I mean, if we are talking about we can now control people within Makueni, then it means before people outside Makueni borrowed. But now, right now, we are going to digitize that process. I want to take a case study of maybe, let's say, Hustler Fund, 20 million borrowers, 19 defaulted. With that in hand, what are we doing about the scoring model, about the appraisal that will also protect us even as we move forward with the partnership that we're getting into? Thank you.
Thank you so much for those questions. So we'll just take like half a minute each to respond to them.
Thank you. To first start with the lady banker, we are already supporting our women by offering affordable credit. If you compare our credit interest rates of 2%, 3%, you try comparing it with the mainstream banks' interest rates, which start at around 16% base rate, which currently is not being regulated. You would say that we are already offering almost free, or rather interest-free facilities. So women are able to really access affordable credit. And to mention also that we also have there's a policy that I had mentioned that may favor women for startups, because with this policy we are able to offer seed capital. Seed capital in terms of if we mentor a beneficiary. After mentoring this beneficiary, we then give them seed capital. Then now we continue mentoring them and now graduate them to the now mainstream banks. By offering them the seed capital, then they are able to grow their enterprises. And once they now are sustainable, then they are able to access now the higher interest earning facilities in the banks. As county, and especially Makueni County, we are already having programs that support youth and women initiatives. Specifically, we have a very unique product called Ujuzi Teke Teke, whereby we identify youths across the county with unique skills needs like masonry, hairdressing, electricity. Then these individual youths are placed in they are trained on this specific, or rather they are attached to mentors who are already in that industry. They mentor them for a specific period of time, and once they are ready, or rather they are now skilled, the county government is able to give them tools of trade. Then they are let go to start their own initiatives. And it is at this point where these now the county empowerment funds give these youths affordable credit, and they are able to expand their businesses. And for the women, we support them with water tanks, which are given as also seed capital, or rather for free. We give them seedlings, we give them chicks, so that they are able to empower themselves economically. Then once they are mentored, they are able to stand on their own. On the second question of partnership, and ensuring that our funds are paid back, we are currently doing pre-loan training and mentorship. Before a beneficiary, previously you'd find that anybody comes into our county offices, applies for these funds without even knowledge of where they reside and all that. But now we are focusing into having TOTs who will give them pre-loan training and mentorship before they are able to borrow, so that they are not able to divert these funds, or they are not able to misuse the funds, and to understand that they need to repay these loans. Well, and of course, these mentors will also carry out appraisal, that is loan appraisal, to ensure that these borrowers are for a fact qualified and are able to pay for these loans. Thank you.
Yeah, two things. On the youth and women-led businesses and support, I think as counties we have tried. I'll give you an example. In Turkana, 2015, our Youth and Women Empowerment Fund initially did not start as a loan scheme. We gave out the first tranche of loan of disbursement as a grant. 225 million. Zingine youth wanatuangusha, wanapewa pesa, wanapiga sherehe. So hapo ndio tuko. It boys discounting. I think the lady from the bank said we are a bit relaxed in our regulation. Kama kuna place kuna mkazo is government. We have two sets of laws, very punitive. We have a procurement law, and then there is an audit law. Ukiona governors wanakuja Senate, ni hizi vitu. So sometimes it's a balancing act between helping our people and staying in the course of the law. So it's tricky.
Okay, thank you very much. I will appreciate the comments that have been made by the people who have talked. Mine, I will just emphasize something that Busia County government is taking keenly on the issue of value addition. Busia County being an agricultural county, we have various initiatives that are helping, especially women groups that are doing farming. For instance, we have a woman who is doing value addition on bamboo products. We as the county government, we create that avenue of market linkages to this individual or group that are doing value addition. For instance, the lady who is doing bamboo, when we had KAICO, that is the Kakamega International Conference, we are able to take her to Kakamega to showcase what she does and to note the products that she had, varying from the seeds. Bamboo can make seeds, toothpick, it can make charcoal, makaa ya kupika. There are so many products from bamboo. So it's something that the county government is putting on more emphasis on value addition. So with that avenue of market linkages to various, to showcase various products, is something that we are doing to make sure that these women, their products are not just kept at home, but they are exposed to both local and international trade. Then another thing is also about subsidies when it comes to farming. Because if you don't reduce the cost of production, it will cascade to the high cost of production will lead to not doing business well. So the county government of Busia also is partnering with farmers, where we have the Agricultural Development Fund that helps these farmers on how to subsidize in terms of fertilizer and also in terms of farm inputs. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pick from the case of default rate and how we as Trans Nzoia County are trying to mitigate the case of the issue of defaulting Number one, before we loan out money, during the pre-loaning activity, we do train groups on the various spectrums on how to manage loans and all those things. At the same time, we inculcate to them the knowledge of repayment, because it impacts negatively on their credit ability if they don't pay in time. Then number two, because our model is actually, our model ensures we have close to 0% default rate, because ours is the tender financing model, and we get notified immediately because payment has to undergo through the FSPs system. So immediately payment is done, we get notified via FSPs that group so and so has been paid the amount of money. So we are able to recover immediately from the bank using the check-off system. So we recover once and it just ends there. On the issue of waivers on licenses, I think we need to get notified that during at the initial stages of bill formulation, before the finance bill is passed, that is the county finance bill is passed, it has to undergo the public participation aspect. So during the public participation aspect, that is when you need to voice your opinions out clearly, that you need this and this, not tax and that and that. So during the bill formulation process, during the public participation process, that is when you can be able to voice your concern that you need item so and so given waivers in terms of licenses and all those. Again, still from Madam Charity on the case of enabling part payment from tenders. I think the Public Procurement Act 2015 is clear that payment can only be done upon completion of a tender, for example, and not unless it's a tender that is way beyond, to a tune of 4 million, that is when a group can request for part payment. So if an amount is lower than 4 million, cannot be paid partly, it only needs to be done in full. And from Transoya, since we are doing the tender financing model, we are financing the group to undertake the tender exhaustively. So they don't spend their own money, they're spending money. Money is from the fund, of course. So that way they are guaranteed, even if payment is late or is delayed, they won't suffer any loss because it's not their money that they are using, but it's loan money that they didn't maybe sweat from. So that is how we, at least we mitigate on such cases. I think that's all for me. Thank you.